Here we go. Back again, 312. Welcome in. Dom, how we feeling?
I mean, how about the Knicks
How about them Knicks?
going to the NBA Finals first time since '99? Been 27 years.
Good math. I'm proud of you.
So super pumped. I don't know if we really got into it in the last video, but yeah. I mean, I guess one of my teams had to do good this year, so I'm happy it's the Knicks. Most
That's
deserving
fair.
of the bunch.
Yeah, I mean, I have no real dog in the fight when it comes to the NBA. As long as it's not the Thunder, that's all I really care about.
What's crazy is that is the sentiment across like all the fans. Unless
This is
you're
true.
OKC fans, it's anybody but them.
Anybody but them, yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I've never had strong fandom attached to teams in the NBA in the first place, so
Hmm.
kind of going into the playoffs, I sprinkled a little bit on a couple different teams to win it, which failed miserably. And then I was just kind of like actively rooting for the Spurs the whole time. I want this Wemby
Yeah.
thing to take off.
I mean, it's gonna eventually.
And I don't even like the
Whether
French.
fair enough. Um, but yeah, it's super insane with what's going on in the NBA right now, and how you have this insanely built team out west in OKC, and how methodical they've been with that team over the past, I don't know, like 5 years and building that up. And then you have just the ultimate insanity in Wemby.
I mean, that team is loaded, though, too, the Spurs.
Yeah. I mean, they've
They're
Dylan
young, they're
Harper,
good.
Stephen Castle. They have a lot of young guys who they
Hmm.
could be the new OKC kind
They
of
really could
looking
be.
team.
There's a lot of guys on cheap deals there. It's such a deep roster. I mean, those do feel like the two best rosters, arguably in the league, with the Knicks right there with them,
I mean, the
just in
Knicks are
terms
just
of depth.
Knicks are just a fun team to kind of have around.
They
Like
just have,
they're the vibes.
yes, I was
They're
going to say, they also
100%
just have the
vibes.
vibes, for
Like
sure.
just watching them play, they're just literally out there having fun,
Yeah.
and then they drop
Well, half of
a
these guys have
hundred
been
hundred and
playing
thirty
together since
pace.
college.
Yeah, and I mean, and they've been together now again for the last 2 seasons, so
Yeah.
three
Poor
seasons, three
Dante.
seasons. Yeah,
Poor Dante being the odd man out there.
yeah. Well, he was a necessity to.
This is true. Well, this week, or today, I should say, we are kind of, what are we calling this, a new series?
I think it's
I don't
gonna
know if we're
be a new
calling it a new
series.
series.
I think it's something we could do every so often, bring it around when we have ideas that we want to talk about, and it's more than
Hmm.
just talking about it. It's presenting our thoughts in a way where we're trying to sell the other person.
Yeah,
So,
it's
um,
it's pressing issues in the sports world. Usually, probably going to be more attached to football, obviously. So that's what we're doing here. But in terms of fixing a problem,
mhm.
fixing a topic that has been in the news, and today it's going to be my plan to fix college football.
Yes, and Asher is going to pitch his idea to me, and at the end of the episode, I'll give my thoughts, and I'll tell him if I'm buying or selling.
Fair enough. Yeah. So we'll start with this college football. Just to summarize here, um, has been rolling for the past few years here. Um, for sure, the expansion of the playoff has been helpful. It's getting schools to be a little bit more willing to take a chance and play a better schedule, um, because there's less fear of, one loss keeps you out of the playoff, or, what was it, 2 years ago before they went to the 12 team, Florida State was the odd man out, even though they were
Hmm.
undefeated and conference champs, but it was because of their schedule, so it looked like there was going to be a little bit more emphasis put on playing a tougher schedule, even if you don't go undefeated. And then that seemed to last no time at all, maybe one season. I think the first year they had the 12 team because it was the reaction to that. And then once everybody kind of saw how the 12 team playoff shook out, there was less incentive again to play a tougher schedule. Issues with the inclusion of the group of 5 teams. Originally, it was top ranked, was one of the top 4 seeds with the bye. Just very clunky, on the fly kind of solutions to a bigger issue in terms of getting viewership consistently, when, especially at the beginning of the year when you're trying to battle it out with the NFL. Unless Ohio State playing FCS East and more Ohio State, Clemson, Texas, Alabama, all the good ones that we actually want to see. Now, I've said, I don't know if I've said it on here before, but I know I have said it to you. I do think with the aggressive conference realignment, we are barreling towards a 2-conference system in the first place here, where probably Big Ten, SEC, they just end up separating from the NCAA in some fashion, with college football at least, and just kind of run their own thing. Have one governing body, have an actual commissioner, because there's conference commissioners, nobody that's actually looking over the entirety of the NCAA. But until that point, and because everybody seems to want to drag their feet there, I have come up with something that I think we could roll out fairly quickly here. So, this basically is a 2-conference system, but a hybrid of the NFL and European soccer in terms of the structure of it. So, 36 teams, that's your Tier 1 league. Next 36, Tier 2. After that, Tier 3. And then a 4th tier, because there would be, I believe, there's 146 Division 1 FBS programs, I believe it is.
Something like that.
Yeah, or 142 maybe. It'd be 142. I forget exactly what it is. That's my fault for doing that. But that last tier would include the rest of Division 1 and then bump up FCS schools to fill out that 36, those 36 teams for balance. So this initial selection process for each of the tiers is set up that Tier 1, if you've won a national championship since 2021, 2021 is the key year in this because that is the first year of name, image, likeness deals in college football when schools could start paying players. So, if you've won a national championship since 2021, you're automatically a part of Tier 1. And then it is the Power 4 teams with the best records since 2021, collectively. Tier 2 would include automatic bids for group of 5 teams that have made the college football playoff, which there's only 3 of those, but they're the group of 5 teams that get to be in Tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then essentially it's the rest of the Power Four conferences. And then tier 3 is just based on record, would include essentially at that point, it's all group of 5 teams. Tier 4, like I said, the rest of the current FBS teams and the top 8 FCS teams since 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So having it set up this way where there is a little bit more favor towards the Power Four is because of the NIL and the amount of money and resources that Power Four teams have over the Group of 4 teams. So this is trying to create some form of competitive balance. So, with that being said, we can look at what each of these tiers would look like. Who are the screens? Or who are the screens? Who are the teams in each tier? Tier 1, like I said, 36 teams would be broken up into 2 conferences, 3 divisions. So, tier 1. Indiana, Georgia, Ohio State, and Michigan. Those are your automatic bids for tier 1. Have won a national championship since 2021. And then I broke these down north, south, and west. Indiana, Notre Dame, Iowa, Iowa State, Kansas State, Cincinnati, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Pitt, Illinois, Minnesota. I will say, separating the divisions, not as much in tier 1 just because there's so many teams or like so many better teams and wanted to balance it a little bit better. But I will say I think I did a pretty good job of maintaining some rivalries and interesting divisional matchups. South, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, LSU, NC State, Duke, Bama, Clemson, Louisville, Miami, Missouri, Wake Forest, which was kind of a surprise that they were that high up in this, to be completely honest with you. And then out west, Texas, Oklahoma, TCU, Houston, Utah, BYU, Oregon, Washington, Texas Tech, A&M, SMU, USC. And then the second one, tier 2, would look like this. We have JMU, Tulane, Boise State as the automatic bids for group of 5 teams that have made a college football playoff. And then again, filling in from there, the rest of the Power 4 teams. Maryland, Virginia, Boston College, VTech, Syracuse, Michigan State, West Virginia, Rutgers, Northwestern, Purdue, Wisconsin, UCF, UNC, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Auburn, Florida State, Kentucky, Georgia Tech, Florida, Vanderbilt, Kansas. Again, I feel like for the most part, I held on to some good rivalries here, if I do say so myself. Arizona State, UCLA, Baylor, OK State, Stanford, Cal, Oregon State, Washington State, Nebraska, Colorado. And then the last one, again, for the sake of it here, these are your group of 5 teams. Kind of across the board there. Again, the only one that I didn't actually make the graphic for is tier 4. My fault. I did not do my due diligence on FCS schools.
Mm-hmm.
But again, top 8, which I'm assuming is the Dakotas, possibly one of the Ivy League schools, and a couple others there from there. But we know some of the big ones in the FCS. Now, again, I'm just gonna pull up tier 1 again. just to kind of go through what I lost my note page here, wherever she went. No, I messed up. My apologies. Let's just reopen it here. There we are. So, with this, we have two conferences, three divisions each, 36 teams, 12-game schedules. Similar schedule structure to the NFL. However, it's not home and away for each because they do not play enough games in college, and we want to spread this out as much as possible. So, 5 of your games automatically against your division. Those games will be kind of like how it's set up now in college football, where your yearly opponents, you rotate home, away, year in, year out. 6 more of your games will come against another division. Like the NFL, you get your divisional draw. The NFL, you get 2 divisions. Here, you're getting one other division that will rotate. And then one rotating competitive balance game. So like the NFL does, your last couple games are supplemented with finishing in the same spot in the division the year prior. That is what we are doing with this setup as well. So if you're in Conference 1, if you're Indiana, for example, you would get your 5 games against Notre Dame, Iowa, Iowa State, Kansas State, Cincinnati. And if you drew the South Conference or South Division in your conference, there's your 6 games. And then you would also get Texas in the West, would be your 12th game. From there, in each tier, we are doing 10 playoff teams. All the division winners, 2 wild cards on each side of the tier. So each conference gets 2 wild cards. Top seed on each side gets a first round bye. Standard playoff bracket from there. Again, looking like the NFL, where number 1 seed gets the bye. 2 plays 5, 3 plays 4. Goes from there. It looks like a normal playoff bracket. So this is no longer subjective, with the committee deciding who the 12 best teams are, or 11 of the 12, and including one of the group of 5 teams. These teams are playing each other. Some years, like the NFL, you're going to get hit with a tougher schedule than other divisions would. But you win, and you make the playoffs. And like we say in all sports, once you get to the dance, anything can happen. The other wrinkle in this that I am adding, this is where the European soccer element comes in here, is a relegation and promotion aspect to each tier. So, bottom 6 teams in tier 1 will get relegated the following season to tier 2. Top 6 teams in tier 2 will be promoted to tier 1. And so on and so forth, with tier 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and vice versa. To avoid again, that was part of the reason that the college football playoffs added the stipulations for group of 5 teams, was because they didn't want to get sued by the smaller schools for not giving them a chance, kind of thing, and showing too much favor towards the Power 4 schools. Tiebreakers and both the relegation and promotion, point differential, make it clear from there who gets promoted, who gets relegated. So far, questions, comments, concerns.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Let's do it.
Um, Biggest one that I have right now is your playoffs don't work. 10 teams doesn't work because then you go from 10, top 2 seeds get a bye, and you go down to 6. That's 3 teams on each side. You can't divide that evenly into
Oh,
games.
did I fuck that up? Did I fuck up my math there?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
I definitely
So,
did fuck up my math there.
I don't know if you're paying attention to me, but I'm sitting there trying to do the math, and
No, because I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was in a bit of a flow state when I was typing all this out, and it made a lot more sense.
yeah. So you either have to do 8 or 12. Like you can do 6. 6 works because buys and whatnot, and 7 proves to work because one person has a buy, and then that gets you even numbers thereafter. This doesn't work.
Yes. Yeah. Go to the 12. Yeah.
Go to 12. No, so you got to rework how you want to
3.
do it.
Yeah. Still. Sorry. Everything else is the same. I just fucked up my math on that.
Mhm.
12 teams, 3 division winners, 3 wild cards. Everything else can stay the same.
Okay.
Yes,
Secondly,
that was bad math on my end there.
correct, terrible math.
Extremely bad.
What I would do with game wise, so 12 games, correct. Rotating, whatnot. Uh, are you what I would typically do here, unless what actually, so this is my big brain I thought here. I would never play North and North. Like if you're in the North in one division, I would never do North in the other division. What I would do is you always play that same team that you are lined up with. So like Notre Dame, Michigan would play 2 versus 2 every year, but then you rotate South and West. And like same with the South, they always play the opposing person. Same with the West, they would always play the opposing person. That way you still have intermingling rivalries and you're not missing that. So like Indiana, Ohio State, you still get
No, I
Notre
get that.
Dame and
I
you still
think
get.
I don't hate that. I do think that part of it is getting that rotation where at some point in time the 2 Norths are going to have to play each other. So if it was like this, if like okay, first draw
I mean,
it's just
they don't. You could just make it so that it doesn't. That's just how that works. Like your rules are like in this hypothetical scenario you're throwing out there. It is however you want to denote it because it's confusing to have a double rotating system. So every year you rotate who plays, like what division plays what division, and then you're also rotating what conference you're singularly playing. And that can get confusing. But if you have a consistent conference, you're always having to play, which is what it is now. Like your North is always going to play North once, like one team. It's like the ACC, Big Ten, and basketball. They always have a game they play
yeah. No, I just
every
don't
year.
think there's enough games in college football, and I don't think adding games for college kids
I'm
is
not disagreeing
necessarily.
with you. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
saying adding games, or you're not adding any
No, I know
games.
what you're saying. I was. That's the wall that I kind of hit with it was when you're working with 12 game regular seasons, that gets a little hairier because it is a little bit. It is more difficult to kind of get as many teams as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the best option. Because I did this a few different ways where it was just like, oh, yeah, okay, you get home and away against everybody, then you're still only sitting with 2 games left over.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do kind of like strength of the schedule or competitive balance kind of thing with that, like you're still only playing 2 teams from outside of your region. I think was it once every few years you can still kind of brand it as like the old college football where North meets North, South meets South, and West meets West, where it does kind of feel like every few years you're getting, like I said, you're getting that.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2005 again, and everybody's playing against who they should have always been playing against geographically, but you're still getting, 2 options for,
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Big Ten versus SEC, basically, if you're looking at
I
it
get
through the
what you're
lens
saying.
of like older, like what the conferences were 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I have other overall qualms with this, but I'll let you continue. Um.
I was gonna say, do you want to get any of them out because the next part of this is where you're gonna get really upset with me.
No, I have other qualms already, but again, we will discuss them as a whole when we get to that portion because obviously this next part is gonna kind of fit into this
Yeah,
category.
you already got a little upset with me on this, but
Correct.
so the other wrinkle that I'm adding into this is an NIL cap for schools to help regulate the what is currently the Wild West of name, image, likeness, and transfers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was trying to do the math, trying to figure it out. There's unfortunately right now, I don't think there's enough public info on how much teams are spending.
Well, so here's
There's good chunks, but I feel like there's just not enough in terms of like people actually breaking down the averages of what each position is making and trying to like
I mean
make it appropriate.
so it kind of goes beyond that scope because each team deals in donations because universities
Mm-hmm.
are all most universities are nonprofit, so they are allowed to accept donations, and these are
Right.
ex scholars at those schools donating millions upon millions of dollars in order for their universities to go out and spend that money to bring in players.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, there's not going to be a whole lot of information out there on this. So it's
Right.
tougher to know that. And again,
Yes.
I'll get into my issues
I was gonna say, yeah. What I was finding was I think Texas has the highest valuation of a roster, and it was like 47 million. I want to say it was, give or take. Again, now that it's legal and schools are hiring ex NFL front office execs to manage the money, we can we can have a system in place to kind of regulate that. So again, I'm saying an NIL cap. I don't have a number for that because it, like you said too, it is a little messy trying to figure that out. But I do think that there's also a happy medium in there that levels the playing field a little bit because that's part of it where Alabama was a powerhouse for so long, but now that everybody's paying players, they don't have the money coming in that Texas does, A&M does, Ohio State does. Like, look at some of the schools. Indiana. I mean, Indiana has Mark Cuban as an alum. He's able to fund that football program. Ohio State has West Coast grads, Penn State, a lot of engineers, Texas schools, that's oil money that's getting funneled in there. Other schools that have like a longer history, Bama, Clemson, they're not getting the same money, but are historic programs that people will still want to play for. I think the teams that are able to generate the money to build up a roster, they shouldn't be punished for that. But I also don't think it should turn into fully European soccer where it's just the haves and the have-nots. Where the teams that can just pay anyone and the Dodgers. Don't want anybody turning into that, where they're playing those kind of games with money. I also don't think there should be any room. It should be very cut and dry and not be like an NFL salary cap either. That is, where you can manipulate it and push money different ways, push money down the road, that kind of thing. Make it whatever dollar amount there. Mm-hmm. Whether you're paying a player through an LLC or not, insert Caleb Williams here, that player will go on your cap. Mm-hmm. He will have a cap hit. To attack the rampant transferring, my plan is to add in a dead cap like they have in the NFL. But this is where it kind of comes in on that it still goes against your cap number. And where I'm using this is for transfers. So, if you are poaching a player from another school, he will go on your cap for the NIL deal that you give him, plus you will add a dead cap number, essentially, for the difference in his previous deal to his current one. So what I said, like my example was A&M is looking at a quarterback that is currently at Georgia Southern, a freshman kid. He's got a $750,000 deal. They offer him $4 million to come play at A&M. He will be on their roster with a $4 million cap hit, and A&M will take on a $3.25 million dead cap. So he's basically costing them, not actually, but it's costing them $7 and change to have him on their roster. Does that make sense?
No,
it's gonna that makes the
completely.
schools be a little bit more strategic on who they're targeting in transfers, and not just let's just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks here, kind of thing. And between the paying, having that little stipulation to kind of make schools think about it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. You're still not going to be able to stockpile talent like you were pre-NIL, where, again, Alabama, Ohio State, you lose your number one receiver or your best pass rusher, and you still have 4 more 5-star recruits sitting on your bench. They're just kind of waiting. Like, you can't do that because now, obviously, when you're paying guys, like, those guys will go other directions because they're going to get paid more. So it also, like I said, I think that kind of gives that fine line in between the two extremes of
Hmm.
stockpiling talent and just poaching guys,
Hmm.
where you don't even know who's on your roster year in and year out. What say you? Because this was the part when we talked about it before that you had the biggest issue with.
I mean, so if anybody who actually knows me outside of this podcast knows that I have strong opinions with how the NCAA transfer portal and how NIL has played into that over the course of the last 5 years since it's been implemented. And that is where I feel like the biggest issues truly lie in college sports right now and
Mm-hmm.
how it is actually affecting development of players and even then delaying their development into entering the NFL and actually hurting their future careers. I see it every year now. And I think the true only way to do that is to limit the amount of transfers. However, it's not what we're discussing. But what I will talk about is how I think your implementation of a cap does not work in the day and age that we've created. Because if you put in money and dollars in somebody to operate it, you're no longer talking about this as a college. You're talking about this as a literal subdivision to the NFL. You might as well be calling it the minors, which is just infactually incorrect because these are kids at the end of the day. They're not it's not they're going there for an education technically first. That is what allows them to do all of this. So when you're implementing now a cap for these kids, you have to think about it because it's also not just them that this is affecting.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the other student athletes that go to these programs that also receive money. It's not just the football side of it. It's you have basketball, you have hockey, you have baseball, you have track and field, you have
Mm-hmm.
swimming, you have lacrosse.
I want
And
to be
some of
clear.
these
This is not limiting what the
so
schools can accept in donations or
sure, sure,
like that's
sure,
not
sure,
it.
sure,
I'm saying
sure.
from the
But what
perspective
I'm
of solely football.
so look, let me come back now.
I'm here.
Football for a lot of these programs are the biggest funder. That's
Mm-hmm.
where the funds come in.
Yeah.
If you essentially cap their funding, they're gonna stop getting it
No,
because
because
I no no I get exactly what you're saying, but you have to think about it in a funder's eyes. Oh, they're guaranteed this amount every single year regardless. What's the point? I can't over exert I can't use my financial standing to allow them to better the team if this is the new standard.
I understand that part of it, but my counterpoint to that is these people were still donating obscene amounts of money prior to NIL. Because
Yes,
that went into
but
facilities, that went into the other programs, that went
but
into
those were
recruiting
different.
travel.
Those were different people. Those were not
Not
the people. Not
totally.
sure, not
Because
totally,
that's the other thing.
but
Here's the other thing too. It's like those donations, those count as write-offs.
correct.
So
However,
again,
you're
we
now
understand
getting
how rich people keep their money. Like they
but now you're getting the less rich people who have a passion for college football, who want to see their team do well. Okay, well, if my money's not going to that use, I care significantly less about that. Yeah, sure, they can still donate money to school for facilities and whatever, but still, this affects that donation pile. There's just no world in which I see that regulating NIL money is going to benefit anyone.
that
Period.
I mean,
These kids are fought hard.
I disagree with that in the sense that again, the donors, the biggest donors that are still around, it's just a little bit more public now.
Okay, so
They were
let's
around prior to that when it was making the school look good in terms of practice facilities,
again.
locker rooms, everything like
I'm
that
not.
to have the appeal. They were still doing this to draw interest to the school. They where they felt they were helping
Yes,
their
I'm not
hometown school, whether it was
disagreeing.
their alma mater or where they're from, everything like that, with attracting the talent in the
Mhm.
first place, getting 5-star recruits in the building before they were getting paid. Now that
And
they
I
are
am
getting
not
paid,
disagreeing with that. That is not what I'm saying here. Those donors are still going to be there. It's the others that only provided the money in order to get big name players to come to the school.
but
Because
that's
that
what
is
I'm
where
saying. It's like that's
those
such
donors
a
are.
small margin of them in the
I
first
think
place.
it is larger than you believe it is.
I don't believe that. Like I don't see how LSU public school is building massive, insane facilities and upgrading their locker rooms that don't even look better than NFL locker rooms
Sure, sure, sure.
before NIL. This is before NIL.
But
Like
you got to think
they're
about it from.
also, but also when it comes to football being the funding sport for all the other athletic programs, that's
Mhm.
not just from the sense of donations. That is game day revenue, merchandise.
Sure,
Like that's where people
sure,
show
yeah,
up is
100%.
because when you have, I mean, Beaver Stadium is what 108,000 at max
Yeah,
capacity. The
close
big
to
house in
109.
Michigan is 112. Like
Yeah.
that's
So
where they're making money too.
yes, and you're helping. Partially, my point is you're bringing in money in other ways and not just donors in order to fund those facilities. A lot of the donors want their money to go directly to the players. But on top of that, if you're regulating money like this in this way that you want to do it, you're going to have collective bargaining agreements, CBAs. So that means you need to have a players association and an owners association. You can't really
Mm-hmm.
have an owners association for something that is open to the public. How is that even possible? So you have to think about it in that light. How are you going to logistically do that?
I
And
mean that they
that's a
mildly
whole
have
nother
that
world.
in the first place too, but within conferences.
I
Conference
mean,
boards, like the conferences have their own commissioners and athletic directors and team or like school
but
presidents are
that's
involved
not
in
the
those
same.
decisions.
It's not the same as having decisions made by the NCAA itself and then having that trickle down.
Well, I mean, again, we kind of saw that too. Like that's kind of where we've had this shift, like post NIL, is the NCAA had all the power. You were an
Hmm.
amateur, you show up, you get a degree, or were your pipeline to the pros, kind of thing, and you got one transfer, and you had to sit for a year before you even got to see
Hmm.
the field again. So you really had to think about, do I want to transfer or not? And then when the NIL became legal, that's when the transfer portal opened up and went completely sideways too.
Hmm.
Where, oh, I'm not starting every game, or my coach kind of got pissed off at me. I'm just going to transfer, and I'm still going to get paid and everything like that. Like it went from one extreme to the other, is what I'm
Correct.
saying, and
Yeah,
I'm
and
trying to narrow that because on
I
looking at both sides of it here. I'm very happy that players are getting paid. I'm very happy that 18 to 21 year olds are not getting stuck in a decision that they made, when they were still 17 years old, some of these kids.
yeah,
17 just turned
I
18.
again, I'm
So,
not disagreeing with that. That's never where my issues lied. My issue lies when you go from school to school to school. Like Brendan
yes,
Silsby,
I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing with that. Yes,
yeah, who's
100%.
been in the media these last month over his scandal, it has jumped three different schools in the last
Hmm.
3.5, 4 years.
No, and I agree with that. Like,
So,
you should, but that's where I'm saying with just using the cap as the example there is that right now kids can transfer as much as they want because somebody's going to want them. If
again,
you attach additional money, you still need to be performing. You know what I'm saying? And then Somebody's going to. A Texas Tech would probably still have been the highest bidder. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? But in his case, but for the trying to think who else transferred a bunch.
Cam Ward
Uh,
transferred 3 times.
DJ.
DJ Lagway,
Yes.
just second team.
No, no,
Florida
no.
too.
Like Uwe Ungale or whatever,
Oh
however you pronounce it.
yeah, Uy Youngale.
I mean, he
Yeah.
was Clemson, then Florida State, then Oregon State, and was just bouncing around. Like
Mm.
again, if he like he gets benched at Clemson, transfers to Florida State to take its job back, it doesn't work out there, so he goes to Oregon State. He's still getting paid at all those spots, but like, sorry, kid, you can't just
Mm.
keep collecting paychecks and not performing.
Hmm.
Like, there's a real world element to this too,
Sure, sure.
where
Um,
again, I think
so
kids
here's
that
my
age shouldn't be beholden to a decision that they made at 17, 18 years old, but also just because you committed to Clemson once upon a
Mhm.
time doesn't mean that you should just get free reign to bounce around to whoever and
Correct,
just keep playing football. You know what I mean?
correct. That's why my personal opinion. You should have one transfer allowed in your collegiate career. That is
Again,
that,
but
and I
that's what
get, I get,
I didn't.
I get your point of that. But again, my whole issue with this all mainly is that how much it stunts growth within these kids because you're too
I thought you were
worried
getting choked
about
up for a second there.
no my
You're
throat's
really
going
emotional about this.
no you're too worried about the money aspect of it and not your actual development aspect. So you go and follow the money, and it's not necessarily the best situation for you, but it's the best financial situation. And instead of trying to make it to the NFL, you try to make it to the biggest paycheck. And then you have guys that pass you up, get drafted ahead of you, and you question why. So my whole point is that it is stunting and has stunted not only development for a lot of these kids, but additionally, it's created an issue within the NFL draft era where you'll have draft cycles where the class is so lackluster that even fans know it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting to the point where you'll have one big year because these guys are out of eligibility, or you'll have 2 to 3 years where it's like, yeah, there's a couple of guys, but it's about it.
So, a couple thoughts on all of that. To your point, if we're going to be honest, and this is going to sound a lot harsher, and it's not meant to be like a blanket statement,
Hmm.
but if we're going to be honest about the guys that in college are jumping around paycheck for paycheck kind of thing, odds are they're probably not getting a second contract in the NFL in the first place. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Those are the guys that end up getting negatively discussed.
hmm
Second of all, to your transfer thing, getting one, that was kind of the issue prior to that. Is the biggest part of that is coaches, which to your thing about development and everything like that, these coaches don't have to stick around.
hmm
What you get a better like Lane Kiffin is so diehard Ole Miss, gets him into the playoff. Oh, LSU's calling? I'm going to go there. If coaches can jump ship at their earliest convenience, these players damn well better be able to as well.
Yeah, I'm not
And
disagreeing
I
with
do
that.
think that is another larger issue that is another thing that I didn't put in this that I think, looking back on it, would add in here is similar structure to the NFL with that. You can fire a coach, but if that coach is still coaching in the playoffs, you can interview him. He is not leaving that school until they get knocked out. You know what I mean? Or to avoid any sabotage in there, you wait until the playoffs are over, or until they're already knocked out before you can interview or request interviews for coaches. Because if you try to do that faster to get ahead of recruiting, like, it's just not how it should work. Because again, to your point, the stunted growth, the limiting development on college kids, because I mean, you think about the first and second year guys are incoming freshmen for Ole Miss this year who are coming to get coached by Lane Kiffin. And now he's he's the next state over. Like,
I mean, you can.
Those kids should be able. Yeah, but even still, like,
I think that's different. But
yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, if you're still chasing a coach and you don't ever have that stability in college, like, that changes things. What was the other point that I was going to make? I had a good one there too. Damn it, I lost my train of thought. What's the transfer thing? Damn it, I lost it. What were you saying again? Give me the abridged version of yours. It might come back.
I didn't have anything. I don't know. I don't even remember what I said.
Damn. Lost it. But again, I think it still had to do with the again.
Yeah, I mean,
again, not limiting what you're able to do with the funds, just directly to players.
Yeah, I mean, I can argue about that for literal hours.
I just think
it's being a dead horse.
Yeah, that's fair. I think, to me, that's the best option to find a middle ground. Because prior to this, it was lockdown. Like, the NCAA felt like Nick Saban. It was still doing well, but it just felt tight and rigid and borderline, like, predatory on these college kids. Not different use of the word predatory. And now we had, well, if I meant it that way, I would have said Lane Kiffin. But now we have gone the complete opposite direction, and to where it's, again, I keep using the term, it's the Wild West, but like, it is. Like, there's no regulations on anything. There's no rules. It's, I don't like it here, I'm going to transfer. There's quarterback who's playing well. We'll give him more money. Like, it's much more chaotic. And the NCAA itself doesn't have a singular, like, governing body. There's no NCAA commissioner. This is kind of the NCAA, and then the conferences deal with their own shit.
Yeah, I mean, the NCAA has, like, a committee that
exactly, but they don't. But yeah, it's not.
Having
they don't.
Commissioner isn't.
They don't have a Roger Goodell. They don't have a David Stern. They don't have.
Yeah, because it's not that kind. It's not a league. Like,
no, I understand. But it is. It's a however many $billion industry.
Sure.
I mean, when you're signing TV deals for as much as they're signing them for,
It's
and they're getting handed that money. Like, I don't care if you're revenue sharing. Like, figure it out. Somebody needs to be like, there needs to be an overarching thing.
yeah, it's unfortunately a much more complicated situation beyond college football that needs to be figured out with the NCAA, but that's a different conversation for a
Yeah,
different
you're
day.
telling me that the presidents of each of these conferences can't figure out how to get one fucking person.
Well, then on below that, it's the president of each school, and they all want to say, and then it just you have 150 plus voices that are voicing their opinion because
Yeah, but
NCAA isn't just D1,
you
it's D2,
don't
it's D3.
really.
You technically have 550 schools that are under
Yeah,
NCAA,
I get that, but like
so it's tough.
there's 50 that matter if we're being honest.
Sure,
And if
but
we go about it, there's 4 conferences that are running the show in football, 5 if we want to include college basketball. Those are the voices that need to be heard.
mm,
And college football playoff committee has tiptoed around their inclusion of the group of 5 schools. Like, the people at the top of these conferences understand what's going on,
mhm.
but just nobody wants to just make it make sense. I mean, Notre Dame is struggling to get games, partially due to their own ego in college football. I mean, they just lost USC. Nobody wants to play them. Like, that's everybody's issue with college football, is that there's, especially before the NFL kicks off,
Mhm.
you have 2 weeks to really garner some interest. And we get 4 games over those first 2 weeks that feel big
Mhm.
or feel like worth turning on. Like, before I go into work on a Saturday in the fall, I got to watch Texas play Charlotte, but because Texas is top 4 in the country, that's that's the marquee 12 o'clock slot.
I do think you use a slight bad example there because Texas did have a pretty difficult schedule last year.
I mean, they got Ohio State week 1, kind of derailed everything, but you know what I'm saying. I just,
Mhm.
first 2 schools I can think of.
Yeah, sure.
Or like week 2, I think it was, Ohio State got, you know, whatever bullshit game that they got last
Mhm.
year.
I mean, if you want to look at Cupcake 4 games in a row, look at Penn State.
Yeah, 100%.
That's Big Ten 100% typically idolizes an easy start to the year, a
Yeah.
good ramp up.
And it's stupid.
It is. It's very stupid.
It's stupid. It doesn't help any of these players, if we're being honest.
Hmm.
Like,
But you know what? Right. Yeah. So Texas does open their year last year against Ohio State, but then they
yeah.
played San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston.
Sorry, it
And
wasn't Charlotte.
yeah, my bad. And then this upcoming year, they added Tennessee to make it a little better, but they do play Ohio State additionally.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and Ohio State on the flip side. That was the 1-2 matchup. It was like, oh shit, we get noon, week 1,
Hmm.
1 versus 2. And then the next week, you said they were playing who? Fucking San Diego State? And Ohio State followed that up with Grambling State, FCS. Like, no. I'm sorry.
I mean,
Unfortunately, I can't support.
they're doing it again this year. They
Yeah,
just
they
started
they
with
all do
Ball
it.
State, Texas, Kent State. So
Yeah, nobody wants to watch it. Nobody
Mm.
cares what. Who does Texas get week 1 as their ramp
Just
up game?
somebody not good. UTEP again, I think I said.
Texas State.
Texas State. That's
Cool. Do you think any NFL scout is sitting there going, gee, I wonder what Arch Manning is going to look like against this Texas State defense?
hmm
No, it's a lose-lose. You play great, nobody cares. If he struggles for a quarter, everybody's killing him. Go struggle against, instead of Texas State when you got Ohio State the next week, go play fucking Wake Forest. Go get an ACC school. Go play a Big 12 school. Instead of Texas State, get Texas Tech.
yeah. I
Get
mean,
UCF. Get something.
here's a team that is gonna be doing it right. It's Oregon. They play Boise State to open the year. This is
Mm-hmm.
a tough team. They're not.
Yeah, like
They
that's
always play tough,
a legit. They would be in tier 2 in this.
and then they play Oklahoma State week 2, and then their only non FBS top 50 game is against Portland State, which is completely acceptable.
And they have
hmm
probably more money than anybody getting funneled into that program
hmm
with Nike.
hmm
They're down the street. Like that's what I'm saying is that the NIL cap is not taking away from any of this, and also it's not that hard to play to your level, and you should play to your level.
Sure. I think I'll give my final thoughts here as we wrap up because we were getting a little derailed, but
I know.
it is what it is.
We knew it was going to happen.
I think there are positives and negatives to your plan. A lot of things that need to be ironed out and worked out. I think with tinkering, it could definitely be a position in which it could succeed.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be bought in as long as certain things get ironed out and get worked out prior to that.
So you're not
I'm not 100%
giving. You're not buying a share. You're
not
loaning
buying.
me money with a smaller share
Correct.
for later on.
I think
Got it. I can live with that.
I, I like the divisional aspect of it. I love the idea of relegation in sports. I think that's a great idea. I love that.
I think that's the only level you can
Mhm.
functionally do it. Is
Correct, and I think NCAA is a big enough entity in which that is a possibility to be able to pull off. Like all the other major sports in our country, unfortunately, aren't to that level, so we're never going to see that. However, with the NCAA, I think it is something that is possible, and it might make the players play harder in order to avoid said thing happening. Additionally, I like it in the name of you're getting more competitive games. Unfortunately, I've already talked about on end the things I don't like, but those are also just things I just don't like currently.
mm-hmm.
And you're not really fixing them. You're kind of pushing the problem into a different area. So it's not really gonna get resolved. It's something I already believe won't get resolved anytime soon. So the resolution to it's already too difficult.
Yeah, I think kind of bottom line, like I said, it was legal action that kind of opened up this door.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, based on how all of that was rolled, that the NCAA can go about it in a legal manner.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's going to have to come down to, at some point in time, they're going to have to regulate from within. Or, like I said, too, like, Big Ten, SEC are going to pick up a few more schools and just go, football, we're doing our own thing. You
I
guys do
see.
whatever you want to, and
I
we're
I
breaking
don't think
off.
that's possible to ever happen. Just
I think
because.
if they were, I think tomorrow, if Big Ten and SEC reached an agreement and said, we're only going to play each other, we're going to have our own playoff structure, ESPN, Fox, CBS, NBC are buying any and every game that they can.
Sure.
Because
However,
those are the two best conferences. Big Ten is separated in the last couple of years, but
I, yeah. However, I just don't think it is logistically a possibility due to one, already
all the
contracts.
other programs and everything
Well,
like that. I
not even
understand that.
that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the biggest issue because the NCAA basically assists and funnels everything into the
Mm.
other programs. Like, yes, I get it. Football basically can run itself because of how large it has gotten. But everything else within the school, it's almost impossible for anything like that to occur. And at that point, it's no longer collegiate sport, it's a professional sport, which then you're dealing with a whole nother problem.
Again, I mean, we're like you kind of said it too. It's like we're basically NFL light right now anyway.
Sure,
May as well
sure,
just make it look like it.
sure. But
Best talent playing the best talent. I think that would help the players in transitioning into the pros. It might. I mean, I think the NFL would love it and make
mhm,
scouts' jobs that much easier.
mhm.
Kind of looking at it and going, "Oh shit, yeah!" Like we don't have these throwaway games.
Sure,
You
but
know
it
what I mean?
also helps you scout smaller guys that show up and you don't always get to see often other than this one game because
That's
there's
fair.
not tape on him.
Yeah,
So
but with NIL right now, anyway, too, it's like the guys that are in these smaller schools, like they're just getting poached anyway. There's less and less
mhm.
group of five guys getting drafted. I mean, we just had the first draft ever that no FCS schools showed up in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft
Yeah, sure.
because
And
they were all at Indiana this past year.
yeah, again, I think there's just some overarching issues that the NIL has created, which is fine. Yes, I'm all for players getting paid. I always have
Hmm.
been. I just think logistically we need to resolve it a little bit. But again, that's
Guardrails, just
something that
guardrails. That's all we need.
I think it'll take some time to get it ironed out to really get there.
Hmm.
But until then, we will continue to think of new and better ways to run it.
I like it. I don't know about you.
You created it. I know
I feel great about it.
you
I'm
did.
proud of that one. All right, you got anything else here?
Um, nothing too crazy other than Josh Jacobs getting arrested
Oh yeah, I
on
forgot we didn't talk about that. I mean,
yesterday. He turned
it
himself
doesn't look
in.
good,
No, it looks really bad. So
but then again,
Packers are just in a bad place
yeah, it's a rough time to be
in
a
Green
Packers
Bay.
fan right now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've seen worse. So
Yeah, but NCAA, here we go. The
yeah,
NFL is heavy when it comes to domestic violence. They always happen. So he's looking at probably a 6 game suspension at worst.
what did Kareem
At
Hunt?
best.
What did
Best.
Kareem Hunt?
8. I'm pretty sure it was 8.
But there was video of that, and he sent a flying kick.
Yeah, but the laundry list of things he got arrested for is
Not great. I mean, we have a guy right now who just had a laundry list,
yeah, well, I
and it
mean,
took 18 months for him to get 6 games.
yeah, I think he might get 6 more
Honestly,
because
he
this
pissed
one's
hot. He
weed.
might never fucking see the light of day again in the
Yeah.
NFL. We know
So
how that goes.
he's in a really dangerous
Street
place.
racing, just We need to do our due diligence. Oh, we pissed hot. We can't have
You're
that in
done.
this league.
You're done. Yeah.
It's over.
So we'll be monitoring that situation over the course of the next couple weeks into the early bits of the training camp. I'm sure
Yeah.
it'll linger into there. So
Yeah, we
but
are sneakily getting close here.
yeah, about a month and a half.
Time flies.
Yeah. Time flies when you're not having fun.
This is true.
All right.
All right,
But
let's
yeah,
get out of here.
that's all I got.